ladies together there.
Very good evening, everyone. We will start our program as soon as our speaker will join. It is my kind request to everyone, please keep your mics mute during the session. We will start the session in couple of minutes.
Hello, good evening.
Very good evening, sir.
Sorry for being late for 2-3 minutes. Actually, I was traveling.
It's okay, sir. Very warm welcome. So now I will start the session. Very good evening to all. I welcome you all to fifth day of 15 days International online faculty development program on teaching, learning, and assessing in 2030. Today we have Professor Shashikant Patil, full professor and head, Computer Science and Engineering, AI/ML Department, VIMEET, University of Kumbhavali, Maharashtra. He is going to speak on pedagogical and experiential learning, innovative approach. I am pleased to introduce our speaker. Professor Shashikant Patil is a revered academician and acclaimed researcher along with diversified and varied teaching experience of 25 years in engineering education. He is an expert in machine learning, deep learning, big data, and data analytical with significant contribution in various fields. He is associated with numerous professional bodies as fellow member and shouldering many responsibility at national and international level. He reviewed more than 3,500 articles and designated reviewer for SCI Journal and IEEE transactions. He is a technical program committee member for more than 400 international conferences at national and international level. He is a recipient of Best Researcher Award of SVK MS and MIMS Campus for exemplary work in 2014. He is also serving as EIC editorial board member, associate editor, as well as managing editor for many reputed and prestigious journals, magazines, and newsletters. With a short introduction, sir, I would like to invite you to take over the session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me share the screen.
Yes, yes, sir.
Wait for a while. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Let me make it full screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, shall I begin?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for providing the opportunity. So, I am Shashikant Patil. So, today's talk will be on pedagogy and experiential learning, which is an innovative approach. So, if we say we have a legacy, great legacy from ancient era of teaching learning, like we call it as a Guru Shishya Parampara. So, we like to go through or explore the new things, what is nothing but pedagogy and experiential learning. So here, what innovative or some distinctive approaches we are going to use as compared to the conventional approaches. So let us move to the next slide. So the outline of the session will be introduction to the experiential learning as well as pedagogy. So in its simplest form, if we say experiential learning is nothing but the form of learning doing by experimentation. And in this, first, learners are supposed to experience few things and encouraging reflection about the experience to develop new skill sets, new attitudes, new ways of thinking. So our outline of the session will be introduction to what is pedagogy and what is experiential learning. Then the need to understand what you can say by understanding the pedagogy. And then we can see experiential learning, then role of technology in experiential learning, as well as what are the different innovative approaches in pedagogy and experiential learning, followed by what are the strategies for implementing innovative pedagogical methods. So that should be there, and how we can evaluate the effectiveness of innovative pedagogical methods and overcoming challenges and address the concerns. So there are many constructive approaches are there. The collaborative approaches are there, cooperative learnings are there, integrative or inclusive approaches and there. And there are some of the approaches which are inquiry-based approaches. So overall, we will try to come up with the experiential learning which is very distinctive or different from the conventional and traditional teaching learning activities or passive activities. So this is the outline of the session. And if you see, our outcome is what, how it is helpful for teachers and how it is helpful to the learners. So that is the session objective. If we can inculcate the experiential learning and pedagogy in our sessions, in your teaching learning scenarios or teaching learning activities. So definitely student will is going to come up with the flying colors. They will understand the concepts, complex concept, complex phenomena in a very well lucid and easy ways. So that can be done with this new kind of approaches, and outcomes will be like we should always use such kind of approaches or some delivery mechanisms or some of the uh, approaches that will lead us, that will make our teaching learning activity easy. Now we are supposed, we teachers are supposed like facilitators, because there is no dearth of knowledge on the web resources. There are uh, n number of, or you can say infinite number of knowledge resources and web resources and web links, and many knowledge resources are available. So we need to channelize that resources, and we need to impart that knowledge through our day-to-day activities, day-to-day classes, and so that our students or our learners will get benefited. That is the outcome of today's session. So here, if you see, pedagogy is nothing but it is the theory and practice of teaching and education. So if we compare our conventional approaches, so in that what we see, these conventional approaches are having chalk and talk method, and we are mostly doing, our most of the percentage of the student teaching learning activities are passive kind of activities. There is no inclusiveness or no active participation of students. Only one way teaching is there, and that is that hampers students' growth and all that. So pedagogy, one can define as it is nothing but theory as well as practice of teaching and education. And when we say experiential learning, so it is nothing but hands-on, some practical applications, some demonstration kind of applications, or day-to-day experiences, real-world examples you need to give, so that student will can understand that physical phenomena or some complex phenomena. You can compare them, you can give the examples, and that way difficult concepts can be taught to the students. Okay, so this was about pedagogy and experiential learning. So here what is there? You need to give the practical approaches, something which is very available, or you need to compare with that. Then it also has a provision of active participation. So if we see, uh, I, some noises there, please mute your microphone. Okay, so so far, if you have seen most of the before the 20-30 years, all classes, or today also, they are passive participation of students is there. So this kind of approach is involves students participation, so that it encourages engagement and critical thinking. So if you can use these approaches in your learning or teaching learning methodologies, this will develop the critical thinking and some logical reasoning capabilities of the students. Okay, so then if we can use this kind of, this is one kind of thing. There are many things. Let me tell you, role play is there. Brainstorming is the one of the activity which you can use in your classes. Then quizzes are there, some surveys are there. Then one more approach is there, think, pair, share. Then cooperative learning is there, team-based learning is there, project-based learning is there, problem-based learning is there. So there are n number of approaches or mechanisms or methodologies by which we can actually disseminate our knowledge to our students or learners. Okay, so but we need to we need to be enough wise when which kind of activity or which kind of approach should be used at the proper time. Every now and then you cannot use analogy, or you cannot use role play or like that. So it should be introduced at the right time in our teaching session or teaching learning activities, or in your theory classes. So this pedagogy and experiential learning, which is quite active, so it involves students. So it will also develop the practical skill sets. It develops problem solving abilities and application of knowledge. So if you see now, all these NEP and all that, they all are focusing on what? They are focusing on so that students' skill set get developed. So if you see Government of India and central government, they are having separate ministry for skill set, and there are so many initiatives are launched by central government, state governments, and Directorate of Technical Education, Ministry of Education, UGC, they all are putting more effort so that problem solving abilities can be developed, because in your profession, in your career, after graduating any course or a completion of education, people should be, or students should be, or learners should be able to solve day-to-day problems, and for the in his profession. Okay, so this such kind of activities will develop problem solving abilities, and you can, whatever they are studying in their entire course, or 8 to 10 semesters, they will be able to apply that knowledge in day-to-day life, or solving societal problems, solving other problems, giving solution to the complex systems or chronic problems. This kind of approach also develops deeper understanding. Okay, so it enhances what comprehension abilities and retention, so that you can call it or recall it as and when required. Again, one more benefit of this approach is innovative approach. You are developing your innovative approaches so that you can use it for utilizing new methods to enhance experiential learning outcomes. Then, if you see benefits, what? Improved student engagement. You can actively engage the students and effectively engage the students. Students are not in traditional format like assignments and all that. So it also motivates, and you can develop the practical skill sets by introducing such kind of innovative methods in your teaching learning, or in your day-to-day teachings. And there are some of the challenges like integration of things, integration of students, then availability of resources, and then the teacher should be trained, because there are the it also should motivate the teachers. So teacher training and teacher what we can say, awareness is required. So this was about introduction. Then if you see, there are various kind of innovative approaches in education. Okay, so because it is the demand of time, you need to develop yourself. And now days are gone ki you are studious and meritorious, and you got first class or distinction and merit, you will get the job. Along with formal education, now you have to develop some set of skill sets, and then you can be successful in your profession, in your career, or in your whatever career you take. So from that perspective, there is need of developing innovative approaches amongst the students or learners. So there are some kind of so let us go through the importance of the approaches. First is adapting to changing the needs of students and societies. So if you see now there we have getting the new generation students, and their IQ level is very high. So we also need to be changed according to the needs of students and society, as well as corporate sector. Again, we need to develop creativity, critical thinking, and problem solving skills, so that students, learners, or graduate students can solve the problems of society, so problems of nation, problems of individual, problems of any thing, complex production systems or complex phenomena in their career. Uh, okay, then it also enriching and enhancing student engagement, students participation in academics. It motivates also, and active participation. Then such kind of approaches are preparing student for real world challenges, day-to-day problems, and future careers. This promoting the deeper understanding and application of knowledge. This cultivates a love of learning with joy and fun, and lifelong learning habits, because now there is a need of an hour to be a lifelong learner. If you see, there are extensive or enormous amount of advancements are taking place, new technologies are coming, new domains are coming, and due to advancement of techniques, in every 6 months or 12 months our knowledge becomes obsolete. So we if you want to survive, you have to update yourself, and that is the requirement. So we should always believe in a lifelong learner. Okay, so this kind of approaches will groom students so that they will become lifelong learner, and their habits, they will inculcate habits so that they will update their knowledges as technology gets changing or updating. Then the such kind of things addressing diverse learning styles. There are different learning criteria, design methodologies are there, delivery mechanisms are there, pedagogies are there, so that you can, because if you see the class is always heterogeneous class, not homogeneous class. There is a diverse set of students, and so that you to cater the services of students, you need to use different or diverse and heterogeneous learning styles. This kind of thing is also encouraging. Sorry, please mute your microphone. I guess Dr. Uh, So, such kind of innovative approaches will encouraging collaboration. Because if you see project-based learning, team-based learning, cooperative learning, if you can inculcate or working in teams, so that will leads to work in collaboration. And if you see the recruitments are majority of mass recruiters are need the students or employees who are having aptitude or attitude towards teamwork. So those who are willing to work in groups, they are selected. So such kind of approaches will develop teamwork or working in team capabilities. Then social skill development means after graduating our course or after taking up career, we need to give back to the society. So also social skills development or uh, so that they need to also give to back to the society. For from that kind of perspective, such kind of approaches will help. Then it also helps it also helps in embracing technology and digital literacy for the 21st century skills. Now, if you see, there are day by day emerging skills are coming and emerging technologies are coming and they are revolutionizing the many things. So that is one thing. Then it will also creating the inclusive and equitable learning environments for all the students. So if you see, there are some of the limitation of traditional pedagogical methods. So if you see, there are conventional, traditional, and modern pedagogical methods and delivery mechanisms. So let us see what are that limitations which made us to use this kind of pedagogy and experiential learning or innovative learning, because traditional, conventional, and परसों से जो चल रहा है that has some lacunas, some pros and cons are there. So because it was basically passive learning. Only teacher was delivering. It was one-way communication, you can say. And from other side, there were no questions, no curiosity, nothing was there. Students are passive learners. So this passive learning approach is one of the biggest disadvantage of traditional pedagogical methods. So traditional methods often rely on lectures and memorization and writing and all that, limiting student engagement and participation. Okay, then it one size fits all, that is the uniform approach is used, may not cater because your class is always heterogeneous, it is diversified, everyone's IQ is different, everyone's grasping capability are different. So there is no scope of diverse learning styles. So this is also one of the issue. Then another limitation is nothing but lack of real world context. So traditional methods like chalk and talk and homework and that methods lack a practical application, and the only theoretical things are discussed, and this kind of things are failed to connect concepts to real life situations. Means students are not able to solve the day-to-day problems, real life problems. They got only theoretical approach. Okay, then it also delimits critical thinking. So more emphasis on memorization and recalling and question answer methods. So that is one kind of limitation, and that can hinder the development of critical thinking, logical thinking, problem solving analysis. Okay, decision making capabilities. So these are the some of the things due to that experiential learning kind of thing are came. Then these traditional approaches are having reduced motivation, same repetitive, monotonous, and teaching style is there that may result in decreased student motivation and interest in learning. Then too much bombarding of and information overload is there. Content-centric approaches may overwhelm students with excessive information, and that is impeding the deeper understanding. Then adequate skill sets are not developed. Traditional or conventional methods may focus more on knowledge acquisition rather than skill set development or practical skill development. There is no scope for limited collaboration. Classroom dynamics are such that they are students centered on teacher-student interaction, okay, and may limit opportunities for peer collaboration and teamwork. So if you can use team think, pair, share kind of approach, cooperative learning approach, flipped classroom approach. So that may develop the peer collaboration and people are ready to mingle with each other and they can have a bond and they can have like-minded people can do the teamwork. Okay, so that kind of limitations are there in conventional teaching approaches. Then adaptable, insufficient adaptability is another challenge of the conventional teaching methods. It also struggles to adapt the evolving needs of digital age and rapidly changing society. And there is also unequal access, lack of resources and technology divide may limit the access to quality education for certain student populations. Okay, so let us see. So this was the advantage that made us to use the modern pedagogy and experiential learning. So pedagogy refers to the theory and practice of teaching and education. Okay, it also encompasses instructional strategies, approaches, diverse methods and techniques used to facilitate learning. So we are facilitator now. We are not teacher. So, okay, earlier it was like students need to depend on teachers. Now it's not, scenario has changed. Then experiential learning emphasizes the importance of hands-on demonstration kind of thing, practical approaches, practical problems, real-world experiences, day-to-day problems, chronic problems, complex problems in the learning process. This kind of experiential learning and pedagogy, modern pedagogy, that increases active participation, learner engagement, effective learner engagement, critical thinking, logical reasoning, and reflection of that learning into their day-to-day life process, day-to-day problem solving skills. Then if you see this both, if you use modern pedagogy and experiential learning, it is very instrumental. It plays a crucial role in shaping effective educational practices. And here we are going to discuss the benefits of experiential learning and its relevance in the modern educational landscape. And let us get ready to discover practical strategies for implementing innovative pedagogical methods. And let us dive into the world of engaging hands-on learning experiences. So we have already discussed experiential learning helps students to develop practical skills, problem-solving abilities, and a deeper understanding of concepts. So this talk explores how innovative approaches in pedagogy can enhance experiential learning outcomes. We'll examine the principles, benefits, and challenges associated with this innovative approach. Means every approach, every methodology has its own pros and cons. It's not like that this is the approach, this will serve the purpose. There are some of the appearing facts or some limitations of this approach are also there. So let us explore an exciting world of pedagogy and experiential learning together. So if you see, this is a cold cycle of experiential learning. So this is the pictorial presentation of an experiential learning. If you see, there are 4 blocks: concrete experience, active experimentation, abstract conceptualization, and reflective observation. So it starts with what? Conceptualization, that too at abstract level. Okay, so then you can understand that concepts using active experimentation. Okay. And then you can gain that concrete experience, and once you gain the concrete experience, then you can reflect, you can develop the reflective observation. So you can reflect it into solving the day-to-day problems. Experiential learning focuses on what? The process for the individual. So one example of experiential learning is going to the zoo and learning through the observation and interaction with the zoo environment, as opposed to the reading about the animal from a book. If you want to read about the animal from the book, and at other side, if you visit the zoo and observing, then monitoring, and then learning from that, so that will give a different approach. So there are variety of experiential learning that students may be exposed through the experiential learning. These are nothing but let me check message. Okay, Is there anything? Wait for a while. Okay. So there are internships are there. Then you can have service learning, student teaching, study abroad, undergraduate research, volunteering, cooperative education, collaborative education. These are the some of the things by which student can experiment many things. And there are 7 domains of pedagogy. Like first domain is content knowledge and pedagogy, learning environment, diversity or heterogeneous learners, then curriculum planning, then assessment and evaluation and reporting, then engagement and personal growth. So these are the some of the domains of the wait. So these are the some of the domains of the experiential learning. There is another pictorial uh, diagram which self-explanatory, which is nothing but experiential learning cycle. So here where you have concrete experience, try something out, use your senses to observe, monitor what happens. Okay, and from that you can gain the experience, reflective observation, reflect on the experience, including strength, weaknesses, challenges, and surprises. Then you can conceptualize, develop the conceptualization. So this kind of thing, analyze the experience compared to the previous knowledge, make hypothesis with the knowledge. And then fourth one is active experimentation. So in active experimentation, you can come up with a new experiment to extend your knowledge or test your new hypothesis. So this is 4 quadrant experiential learning. And if you see, there are 4 cycles or 4 elements of the experiential learning. We have already discussed this. So there is one more slide which quite illustrates about experiential learning. So Kolb in 1985 defines experiential learning. He is the stalwart in the field, and he is saying that the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. So you need to experience it. Once you experience something, then you can recall or retain it for a lifetime. So let us see experiential learning as per Cole, who is stalwart or who has significant contribution in the field of education. It is nothing but pedagogical method where students learn by doing something. Okay, we are always curious, so we need to try how it works, how it functions, what are the principles behind this, how it functions. So instead of listening to teacher talk about how to do something, the students learn through the experience of doing the task. Okay, and it is based on the constructivist idea that we learn best through the active interaction with our environments. So there are some of the examples of experiential learning: doing experiments in the chemistry class. Another is learning about food by growing it in a garden, learning to drive by taking driving lessons, learning about animals by going on safari or zoo, or visiting zoo, becoming an apprentice to learn the competency. So at one side you have theory learning, at one side you have demonstration kind of learning. Now, in experiential learning, we are supposed to use experience-based projects. So there is separate domain of project-based learning or problem-based learning, or that is called as problem-based learning, or uh, PBL, project-based learning. So experiential learning is nothing but it is a powerful teaching tool. So that gives us a great impact. Experience-based projects offer a change of space from traditional classroom assignments and homework and facilitate learning for students with a variety of learning styles. So this is the contribution from Milebna and his fellow friends. They have wrote one paper and they have done a thorough research on that, and they are saying that uh, this kind of approach helps a lot of students so that they can learn through the diversified and numerous kind of learning styles. And projects like this have a lasting impact. If you do a project, you can learn that particular phenomena in a better way as compared to the theoretical approach. Then experience-based projects can help or bring students and teacher close together. So if we do something, if we uh, solve something in a group, or that kind of scenario brings students and teacher closer together. Classroom delivery is one way, it is passive, it does not engage the students, so that kind of thing will not engage the students. Regular class assignments, homeworks and all that, they does not bring student and teacher together. So let us see what are the different essential components of the experience-based learning. So experience-based or demonstration-based learning is what? Uh, it is a experimental kind of thing. So the goal of experience-based learning involves something personally significant or meaningful to students. So here you have to design your curriculum or your lecture time or lecture such that a student should be personally engaged. Accordingly, you have to design the problems, design the tasks, design the experiments. Then it is nothing but it is a reflective thought, and it gives opportunities for students to write, discuss their experiences should be ongoing throughout the process. So if you give some problem to the class, first what we can do, you can ask them to think for 5 minutes. Then you can make the pairs. Then these pairs will discuss that problem with each other, and they will come up with solution. First, they have their own what we can say opinion about the solving that problem. Then when they talk to their peer in a pair, so that two two persons or two learners will have one common thing, and then later on you can they can whole class can whole class can discuss that problems, and all the pairs can discuss that problem, and they can finally, after debate or some brainstorming, they can come up with the one final solution to the that problem. So this kind of thing brainstorms the students are made to think over that problem in place of solving it in isolation. So such kind of delivery mechanisms or some such kind of approaches help students to discuss amongst peers, discuss among the groups, and come up with a one common solution. The whole person or the whole class is involved, meaning not just to intellect, but also their senses and their feelings and their personalities. And this kind of environment develops a collaborative approach. They can work in teams in case of mass recruitment. And if you use this kind of approaches, students should be recognized for prior learning they bring into the process. So teacher need to establish a sense of trust, respect, openness, and concern for a well-being of the students. Okay. So these kind of things need to be kept in mind while designing our assignments or some questions. And why it is wait for a while. So experiential learning is a great for adults. So this is also means there are like pedagogy and uh, other methods. So there is pedagogy or teaching learning method for adults also. Adults are self-directed and motivated, so they can easily use this kind of learning scenario. Adults bring life experiences and knowledge to learning experiences. Adults are purpose oriented. So if you can use for experiential learning for adults, that helps a lot. Then adults are purpose oriented. Adult looks for relevance. Adult also looks for logic and practicality and feasibility and deployability. Adults like to be respected. So it is very beneficial for if you use for adults. Then if you see Bloom's taxonomy, if you see Bloom's taxonomy actually evaluates the students in a very well approach. You all of you might be knowing this. We are always when we design some question papers, unit test papers, or something or some experiments, we always framing the questions and posing the questions as per Bloom's taxonomy. So by doing this, we are always trying to fulfill our objects, course objects, or program objects, or course level objects, and that course level objects can be satisfied at the end of the course, like outcomes. So this Bloom's taxonomy, it's really help in developing the students whatever they learn in the evaluation pattern. And other side, you have Klopp's cycle of learning. So how they are correlating with each other, that we'll see. So if you see active experimentation, if you want to do what to do next, that will develop creativity, which is from Bloom taxonomy. Then if you see concrete experience, this concrete experience, what happened? if you think on this, this can be useful or applying, means applying whatever knowledge you have studied to the solving the problems. Then we have reflective observation. So this Klopp cycle is having 4 elements. So every element is related to Bloom taxonomy. So if you see reflective observation, it is useful for evaluating and analyzing. And then you have abstract conceptualization. Why did this happen? So that is related to understanding and remembering. So Bloom taxonomy and Klopp's cycle of learning, they are very related, and you cannot separate them. And so if you can use this experiential learning, it will automatically satisfy or attain your course objective, program objectives, or learning outcomes and course outcomes. And finally, whatever so you can map it to your program objectives and program outcomes. So this is the pictorial representation and relationship between Klopp's cycle of learning, which is used for experiential learning, and Bloom's taxonomy. So another thing is how developmental framework for intellectual maturity. So if you see, if you want to develop, if you want developmental dimensions, so pedagogical focusing is needed. So that will develop implemented style. Then for interpersonal development, you need to have interactive approaches. So buddy system is the one of the example. Buddy systems for internship, buddy systems for projects, research buddy systems. Then intrapersonal development kind of maturity that can be brought to contextual approaches. So journal reflections, and cognitive development, which involves experiential approach. So the field trips are some of the examples. So we need to develop the framework for intercultural maturity. So here, pedagogy and experiential learning will help. Then if you see, there is another which we can see, experiential learning or innovative approach. So if you see, you can generation, make connections between activity and life skills. Then you can apply. Apply means what? Relate new skills to everyday life. Then you can experience it. Participants engage in learning activity. Then you can share. Then you can process. Means you can do, apply, and reflective. So this kind of things, if you are focusing, that will develop your creativity, logical reasoning, innovative approach. So these all are correlated. So our teaching learning methodologies should be such that it should involve Klopp's cycle, it should involve intracultural development, it should involve Bloom's taxonomy, it should involve cooperative learning, and it should be designed such that students should come up with the flying colors. Now, let us come to the role of technology in experiential learning. So if we see, we are day by day, we are approaching towards, we are using so many ICT tools are available, online, offline, hybrid, and so many things are there. So how we can use technological development in the education? How we can use these technological tools or ICT tools for the betterment of the students, for the better understanding, for better grasping of the students, so that their overall development will be there, 360 development of the student. So we can have a blend of I am not saying that traditional approaches are always poor. We can have a blend of traditional approaches, modern approaches, and usage of technology, usage of ICT tools. So if we can club together all this, so we can use it for different dimensions. Student can be multidimensional. So here, when we are introducing modern pedagogy, does not mean that traditional approaches, conventional approaches are not worthy. We need to use the strengths of traditional approaches, conventional approaches, along with the strengths of what we can say, modern approaches or modern pedagogy or experiential learning. And for both, this can be effectively implemented, deployed with feasibility by the effect, what we can say, proper usage of ICT tools. So this way we are supposed to use all these things. So in this, role of technology in experiential learning is very crucial, very instrumental. So first, it will enhance realism. It will give, it will bring it to the reality. So if you say VR, AR, and extended reality, these technologies provide immersive experiences. You can actually feel that and simulating real world environments. Then if you use latest technologies, you can get access to the global experiences. Technology enables students to consult with experts in the field, participate in virtual field trips, collaborate with peers worldwide. They can interact with each other with modern tools. They can discuss, they can share their knowledge. Then it also brings interactive simulations. Technology allows for interactive simulation and experiments, enabling students to engage or participate in hands-on learning in a safe and controlled environment. So again, technology also helps in personalized learning. So there are many adaptive learning platforms and learner-centric and learner customized platforms and intelligent tutoring system that uses technology to tailor instruction to individual students' needs and space. So if you see, there are many learners are there. Few are slow learners, others are advanced learners or fast learners. So accordingly, you have to actually, what you can say, you have to find out which are the slow learners, which are the average learners, which are the fast learners. Accordingly, you have to develop your delivery mechanism or your uh, teaching plans and lesson plans and activities and other assignments. Okay, then in traditional approaches only fit for some class of students. Then digital resources and tools, if you can use, there are n number of online databases are available, multimedia resources available, web links are available, web resources are available. There are n number of educational apps that provides a wealth of information and interactive tools to support the experiential learning. Now let us discuss about intellectually stimulating activities. So if you want to learn new concepts with use of case studies and movies, so this is one way. Analog is one of the thing you can use it. Analog, if you see, let me give you one example of analogy. So whatever is the known and whatever is not unknown, if some phenomena, if some concept you want to introduce, you can use analogy. Analogy is the best tool. So, and by comparing with some existing, not exactly that, but it has its own importance. So let me introduce, like everybody might be knowing here. We might have studied, everybody has studied PN junction, PN semiconductor and intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. So intrinsic semiconductor is the purest form of semiconductor. And if you want to increase the conductivity and reduce the resistivity, you need to add the impurity atoms, and that process is called as doping. If you want to give the example of analogy to understand the concept of doping. So what we do, we are for 10 raised to 5 atoms of silicon or germanium, we are adding only one atom of what we can say impurity. So if you want to compare this with our real life scenario, so you know everybody knows the importance of salt in recipe or cooking. Am I correct? So if you add more salt, what will happen? The recipe or dish or your khana will become tasteless. You cannot eat it. If you don't add the salt or if you add less salt, again it will become tasteless. In both the cases, the dish becomes tasteless. So what we do, or what our mom or mummy, what she does, she has experience, and she, with her expertise, she adds some amount of salt, or 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon salt to the whole recipe, and that makes it very delicious and very yummy. So you can give for 10 raised to 5 atoms, you can add 1 atom. If you add more atoms, conductivity means resistivity will not decrease, conductivity will not increase. If you add less atoms, again thing. So as we have to add pinch of salt to the recipe, same is the importance of adding impurity items to the semiconductor. So this way you can relate, and with the analogy examples, and there are many examples. There is, we can take a separate session on analogy. So means hydraulic circuit, electric circuit, pneumatic circuit, they are having same concepts. So there are so many examples we can relate, but there are again limitations of analogy also there. There can be a misconception also. So you need to introduce right example, you have to wisely select the example of analogy. So if you want to learn the new concepts, you have to use case studies, you can use movies, you can use role play, and many more things are there. Games designed for students to apply their classroom concepts in real world. Then critical thinking activities and subjective learning assignments, which help students to communicate their train of thought effectively. Then outdoor educative activities such as field trips, industrial visit, industrial tours, that will give them immersive experience. Then theoretical concepts explained with the help of video presentations or simulations and live examples of their practicals. So these kind of things, if you use, that will stimulate the activities and that will develop the students. So if you see if you want, there are andragogy. Andragogy is the one pedagogy and metagogy. So you have pedagogy, you have andragogy, and you have metagogy. So metagogy is for modern, andragogy is ancient, and pedagogy is for effective teaching learning. So if you use all this together, because you have to use stimulating and thoughtful provoking inquiry, and this metagogy will develop the students. Then you have to catalyzing the principal response responsibility. Then you also have to use experiential learning, and you have to use potentiating purposeful interdependent activity. So these all you need to integrate together for the effective teaching learning activity. Okay, so with this, I tried to cover all these aspects. So if you have any questions, I'm open for the questions. So the outcome of our session is how we can use. There are many statistics. I have not included statistics from literature, how it helps, because a lot many people have devoted their significant time, and they got that if you use modern pedagogy and experiential learning, the students means they have given results and all that. So that I have not included. So if there are any questions, I would like to respond it with whatever bit knowledge I am having.
Dear participants, you can unmute yourself and ask question to sir. Sir, there is one question in the chat
Yes, yes.
box.
Please.
Why
Sir,
blue?
good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, so you are talking about pedagogy and experiential learning.
Mhm.
So as a teacher, if you are going to the classroom, like we are trying to follow the various pedagogy.
Yeah.
Out of that various pedagogy, as you mentioned, the role play is one of the interactive pedagogy, which can be
Yeah.
followed by many students. They are very much interested to use the
Yeah.
role play pedagogy skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that, apart from this role play, because
Hmm.
since I belong to Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data
Yeah.
Science,
Yeah. Yeah.
since you are a AI/ML professor,
Yeah.
so I used to know that for handling the subjects such as machine learning, data science, or AI,
Hmm.
apart from this role play, is
Mhm.
there any other effective pedagogy as a teacher
Yeah.
we can use in the classroom?
Yeah. It's a very good question, sir. Actually, we have to design our 60 minutes or 120 minutes or 90 minutes lecture such that we need to develop an ambience initially. So you can pose the right questions or some curiosity related questions at the start, and you need to develop means you can ask them to write any word about that topic on the board. You can call every students, or you can simply ask in general questions, posing general questions, and um, gradually you have to build the ambience of the class so that they will feel some curiosity about that topic. So there are many ways to introduce this kind of pedagogy. One is brainstorming. So whatever I said, you can pose simple questions in general questions, and then slowly and gradually you can go towards the topic. Or you can ask, let us say Wi-Fi or 6G or anything. You can call every students and ask them to write any word they know about that, and then you can relate that all words and you can explain that concept 5G 6G. So this is brainstorming. Or there are many pedagogies. You can give analogy, then you can give one problem. So we as a teacher, we have to think which pedagogy should be introduced at what time. Every now and then you cannot use role play, because role play requires a significant time. Okay, so you have to design your 60 or 90 minutes such that initially you have to build a classroom environment and ambience so that students will concentrate on that by posing simple questions, curiosity related questions, or brainstorming kind of things. Or sometimes you can use quizzes, small quizzes like that, or role play, analog is there, then think pair share is there, or you can take formative feedback after 2-3 lectures also, how they are understanding, what kind of whether chalk and talk is beneficial or whether PPTs should be used. So then demonstration kind of things. So again, if we see, there are our subjects are few subjects are purely descriptive, pure analytical, pure having numericals, and pure mixed. So it will need expertise which kind of pedagogy should be. Otherwise, every now and then, if you use role play, it will consuming a lot of time, and many times if you are using uh, all these pedagogies, then there is you may lose your class control also while doing all these activities. So you have to wisely use all these activities. Every activity cannot be used, or all the activities cannot be used in every lecture or every session. So PBL is also one of the approach. Then course level PBL is there, problem based learning is there, then demonstration kind of learning. So we learned first, we teachers need to train ourselves how we can use all these delivery mechanisms, then we will be able to it. So there is like disadvantages of using overuse of this also there. So within 60 minutes we have to decide which kind of which kind of activity should be introduced, and our participation, and we also need to see the students participation. Otherwise sometimes it may go wrong also. I hope I have um, sorted out your query.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
There is one question in the chat
Yeah.
box.
Yes, please.
Why Bloom's taxonomy is used more?
If we see, actually Bloom's taxonomy, if we see in 4 years course or 2 years PG course, we have lot many courses. So Bloom's taxonomy leads us to analyze, evaluate, apply, understand. Means if you see principles and all that definitions, if you ask define, describe, so that gives understanding. If you ask them to derive, evaluate, so that leads students to think over it. If you give the solve the problem. So this kind of Bloom taxonomy, if you can what you can say, if you can pose or if you can frame your questions such that they will be able to think. Okay, if you go back 10 years, 15 years, our question papers were like describe, draw a neat block diagram, explain. In place of that, if you give them something that will really make them to think logically, rationally, and critically. So our assignment should be such that the student should think how it works, what is the principle. They should make to think, then and then they will be able to solve the problems. Means all, or if you see whether it is ABET, NBA, NAP, the whole motive of all these methodologies and educational what we can say policies is that students should use their knowledge in their profession, whether they may become engineer, they may become administrator, they may become servant. They should be able to apply their knowledge, whatever they have studied in graduate course, they should be applying solving day-to-day problems, solving their own individual problems, solving societal problems. So that's the reason Bloom taxonomy is always recommended. But here we have also suggested you also should think Klob's triangle, because Klob's triangles, all 4 elements are have correlation with what? Bloom's taxonomy. So if you club them together, it will help more to the students.
Okay.
Question paper, not only question paper, your regular assignments, your unit test papers, or even when you pose the question in classroom also, it should be such that that will make them think. Otherwise, if you see our Indian scenario, only question answering type of exam, our education system is only exam oriented. Brainstorming can be effective at the starting of the class to bring the ambience. Curricular means it is fully related to academics. Co-curricular means debate, technical competitions, paper writing, or technical presentation, or we can say project competitions. These are co-curricular activities. Curricular are purely exam-based or classroom-based.
Okay, so if there is no more questions, we will go toward the end of this session. So I would like to thank you, sir, for your nice session.
Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for an opportunity.
We are delighted to hear from you. So you introduce various pedagogy and experiential learning methods that can enhance student engagement and foster the critical thinking skill. These approaches provide opportunity for active collaboration and participation from the student part. So thanks a lot for joining us and
Always
giving a
welcome,
nice
ma'am.
section.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you everyone for patience listening. Thank you so much.
dear participants, feedback form is in a chat box. Please fill this